Hello, everyone. This is Redskins Talk TV, and this is your host, Andre. Just want to talk about the game tonight with Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. Me, as a fan of my Redskins, highly disappointed, especially when you live down here as a Redskins fan. I anticipate I'm going to have to go to work tomorrow and hear a whole bunch of shit, and rightfully so, because I know I talk a lot of shit. So I'm anticipating that. Had a lot of shit talkers on Facebook, family, friends, family members, and such. But I just want to talk about some of the things that I observed during the game. And I want to start off with the special teams. In my previous video, the pregame analysis with these two teams, the main thing that I said is we need to be able to contain Dwayne Harris. He's a dangerous returner, and when he got that 90-yard kickoff run, it was just a lapse in discipline. Guys weren't in the right place. He was able to break for that yardage. Fortunately, E.J. Biggers was able to get him out of bounds. Otherwise, he would have gotten 2 touchdowns tonight. But on his kickback run, what was that, like a 67-yard kickback on the punt return, I don't know how the refs did not see that block in the back to where one of our guys got pushed, and that sprung him to where he went to the left, cut up the field, scored the touchdown. And to add insult to injury, they threw a fucking flag against our assistant who was on the white part of the sideline because the ref was running but looking the other way and bumped into our guy. So they said that it was illegal contact for an official. He ran into our guy, even though our guys should not have been there, but at the same time, to overlook one of our players getting blocked in the back and not throwing a flag on that, I thought it was total bullshit. Now, going over to the offense, a lot of things that I saw, and one of the things a positive that I saw in the first possession that we had, the no-huddle offense. It seems like every time we go into the no-huddle offense, we really keep the defense off balance. And for some reason, Kyle Shanahan, when he sees something successful like that, he wants to get all cute and try something different instead of sticking with what works. Because we really had everything going. We were getting Robert Griffin III out of the pocket, and then all of a sudden we changed up. But for that first series that we had, even though we didn't get anything but 3 points, the fact is we were able to get down the field effectively. And for some reason, Kyle decided to go with a different game plan, and that didn't help us. On top of that, being able to convert on third downs, there were a lot of times where we needed to spell a rest for our defense, but because of play calling, a lot of questionable plays that really didn't help us, on top of penalties, which backed us up and made the job even worse, we were not able to convert on third down too often, and that's been a problem that we've been facing all season long. So that's something that's really going to have to be taken care of on all 3 aspects of the game when it comes to the flags, the stupid penalties. I mean, there's got to be some more accountability because we're shooting ourselves in the foot. These are games where we have the opportunity to stay very competitive, but we're basically looking like Keystone Clowns because of the fact that we don't have the discipline to avoid holding or avoid blocking the back or the personal foul, stupid shit like that. So that's the reason for my angst with this video. On top of that, not enough of running the ball. I mean, yes, a lot of teams are going to stuff us. They're expecting Alfred Morris III to be able to be contained because he was, number 2 running back last season behind Adrian Peterson. But to not feed him the ball often, or at least sensible run plays where you get him up the gut instead of those sweeping plays, which I'm not a fan of because I just don't think our offensive line is athletic enough to keep the blocks in place to allow for Alfred Morris to get open. He did have that 145-yard run, and I was very pleased with that, but I was very disappointed that they didn't give the ball to him often. 25 to 30 touches is something that this young man needs, and he seems to get stronger as the game goes on. And unfortunately, they didn't do that. I don't know what happened near the end of the game because you really didn't see too much of him. Where Hilo was in the game, and he's a good runner, better pass catcher out of the backfield. But we'll see what happens tomorrow or Tuesday with the injury report. On top of that, what happened to using the tight ends? Jordan Reed, he's going to come along. I don't know what happened with Fred Davis, whether he suited up or if he's on the injury report. I didn't really check that before game. But Logan Paulson and Jordan Reed, really good pass catchers. There were a couple of drops, but for the most part, Jordan Reed had a couple of good plays. He's a very impressive young man, and I think what's going to happen is we're going to try to stick with him in the long run. I think Fred Davis He's got like a 1-year contract, I believe. I can't remember, but I think Jordan Reed, he could be the future at that position. Good, with a little bit more practice, more route discipline with his route running. He's got pretty good hands, and I like him. But just didn't use the tight ends enough, especially in the middle of the field. And lastly, getting Griffin out of the third. RG3, he's a dynamic runner. Even though he doesn't have the same capabilities as far as that burst of speed because of his knee injury, he can still cause a lot of confusion and worries for a defense. But Kyle Shanahan is not using a lot of those read option plays like we did with that first series. And when he's able to fake out the defense, once we have an established run game, he's a very dangerous person, and he always has to be accounted for. But in the second half, we pretty much had him shut down, and that's the trouble because we have so many playmakers on offense, and for some reason, I just feel like Kyle Shanahan is holding them back. He's not utilizing them to the best of his ability. So here we are trying to get wins, but there's a lot on offense that needs to be worked on. Kyle Shanahan definitely needs to come up with a better game plan for offense. And of course, we had problems with drop passes. A couple of drop passes from Pierre Garçon and Leonard Hakerson, and there was even a couple of drops from Jordan Reed. But those, some of those were easy catches, and some of them overthrown. I know there was an interception that was thrown near inside the end zone, and that wasn't Griffin's fault. Santana Moss slipped, but the ball was already in the air, so there wasn't really much that can be done with that. But getting Griffin out of the pocket, that's the main thing, because he's a sitting target, and defenses know that he's not going to have that burst like he used to, but he still has the ability to escape. And when he got hit near our own end zone and that fumble was forced, that's just something where he could have had better pocket presence. He should have tucked the ball and just ran with it, at least gotten a couple of yards. But Kyle Shanahan not moving him, that's really, really bothering me. And it bothers me every week because we need to see more improvement. And everyone's talking about the knee brace, but Griffin, he can run with or without the knee brace. He's just wearing it for a precautionary measure because he wants to sustain his career. So that's the takeaways that I have for offense. Now for defense, I did say in my previous video, if D'Angelo Hall is able to play Dez Bryant and not Tony Romo, he will win that. And he did an outstanding job tonight. Outstanding job. Usually where he's too busy trying to ball hawk, he's getting burnt. But tonight, he proved why he's a starting cornerback. So I was really impressed by him. Had a couple of good tackles, but he was very professional tonight, and he did his thing to keep Dez Bryant quiet. On the other side, David Emerson on the kick return, he was injured, left the game. He's got a concussion, so hopefully he'll be back for the next game. But it was a clean hit, but hopefully we'll get a chance to see him. I'm not really a big fan of E.J. Biggers. I know he was with us last season, number 30. But every time I see him, I just think he's a liability. He got beat on that one play for that touchdown because he was too busy just looking in the backfield. And the receiver got behind him, and it was a wild play too because you had Josh Wilson who went in to try, for a cornerback sack. And Tony Romo escaped and just threw the ball up. Wide receiver caught it, touchdown. That really hurt. But every time I see E.J. Bigger, and right before the touchdown happened, I knew it because I had mentioned to my wife, I'm really worried they're going to target number 30 at the bottom of the screen. Lo and behold, it's quite prophetic because that's exactly what happened. So, and of course, he also got a penalty for holding. So, those kind of things, they just need more discipline. But also with the defense, the tackling wasn't that bad. There were a few times where there's some poor tackling, so I really can't complain too much about that. But I think the defense, they really did a better job. In some cases, they weren't able to get off the field on third downs, sometimes because of penalty, sometimes just players being out of position for the tackle. Weren't really able to get much pressure on Tony Romo. I think we may have gotten like 1 or 2 sacks on him, but that's just the one thing that we have to deal with. They really didn't manhandle us, and the score wasn't really out of hand. I would have liked to have seen the score a lot closer, but I think all of us would. I would have liked to have actually seen it reversed where we were on the upper end and the Cowboys lost. But this game right here, once again, is a highly disappointing game, because I was looking forward to seeing RG3 run over the field, Alfred Morris break some yardage. The Cowboys, they had a couple of key injuries with the defense that we just didn't take advantage of. Sean Lee played an lights out game, so he's a very impressive linebacker for the Cowboys. Morris and Claiborne and another quarterback, number 39, Brandon Carr. They played pretty well. Just didn't see too many opportunities to go down the field, but at the same time, the Cowboys, they kept their safeties deep to avoid those deep passes. And of course, we didn't take advantage of that intermediate part of the field with the tight ends, or at least with Santana Moss. So once again, this is just my take on the game. And if you like this video, I hope that you like, subscribe, and share. To my Redskins family, hail to the Redskins.